one, and we're live. Are we
We're
live?
live. We're live. We're
We
there.
are live.
I let the two and the one count out like it was like 20
I
minutes.
counted the two and one. Didn't you hear me?
You did. Oh man.
You damn
We're
right I
here.
did.
Welcome back. Welcome back
We're
everyone.
here. We're here. How you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm here to paint. I'm here to paint. That's about it. How are you doing?
I don't know. I think my painting's cut off up top.
Is it like a little bit at the top? How much more you got above the window sills there?
I don't know. It's just a tangent. It's driving me crazy.
Well, hello everybody. Hello Chrysikon.
It's a
Hello
thing
Lord
I'm
Adornable.
working on. It's a thing I'm working
Ray's
on.
Ray's doing this thing. We're gonna let him work on that for a minute. How's everyone in the
I've
chat
got to.
doing?
We're good. I think I did it. All right. How you doing, dude? Hey, I know that guy.
Yeah, I'm working on Roy today, but we on the Vision X demo, we did some we did paintings of this, but I did it digitally. Ray did his traditionally. And I decided, you know what? I'm coming back. Doing it.
Dude, that's awesome. And you started from scratch too.
I did. I mean I did a digital piece, but I just like, nah, I'm just gonna transfer it like a normal and just do it. I'm just gonna roll.
Yeah.
Do it live.
Whatever's just do it live with your brush. So, yeah, welcome everyone. I'm continuing this painting, underpainting, um, on this piece. I didn't do anything. I haven't touched anything. I did this stroke right here. I should say I'm lying. I'm a
Yeah, I
liar.
saw
I
you
did
doing
the
a
stroke
minute ago.
right before we went live, and I just realized I told everyone that I wasn't going to do it. So
What a
before
betrayal.
before the tabloids,
What a
you
betrayal.
know, filled with Ray Bonilla, liar,
Yeah,
artist, and liar.
you're gonna get just crucified on Twitter. Game over.
That's all I did. Oh, and I also rolled over. I shouldn't say that's all. I did seal this with matte medium, so that the gouache wouldn't pick up as I was putting down more acrylics.
Okay, I did that with my drawing, and I only did it like right before the stream, so I'm worried that that medium might not be fully dried.
Nah, it's good, man. It's not gonna stick to the oil. You're good.
It's true. It's true. We're going with it.
You're going with it. Just go with it. And then when it falls apart, it'll be great content.
Yeah, that's true. We can examine it live on the air. Like, hey, this is what happens when you don't
So,
do it
so Tyler, you
properly,
yeah,
folks.
I'll be asking you questions like, so Tyler, you've been crying for which is now about 45 minutes. How do you feel about what do you think went wrong with your painting?
Yeah. What'd you do wrong? What'd you do wrong? Well,
What do
I
you
did a
think
lot
you
of
did
stuff wrong.
wrong? And all I wanted to do
Was
is
paint
paint Roy.
Roy.
So I did a painting, yeah, that painting of Roy, like Tyler had mentioned, in oils. I have it like right below my feet. It's all, it's a pretty tight area. Let me see if I can show it.
Below your feet? Just throw it up
Dude,
there,
I
man.
just don't want to knock everything over, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
You know.
Man, I should have put a little
And I
oil
got it all
down on
clamped
this
up here.
piece.
Here, I can fit it in sideways.
Yeah. Looks great. Looks great.
There it is. Yep. I didn't paint. I didn't paint it. I did paint it sideways. No, I didn't paint it sideways. I will. I should probably finish that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, at some point.
I,
Good chance.
dude. Yeah, I know. We were talking a lot about this. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm painting for my solo show, this one included, it's going to be at my solo show in a Bend gallery in Denver, coming up in November. Ooh, man,
Heck
that
yeah.
rhymed. So
I hope that's on the banner for it. Bend Gallery. Well, you know, your whole rhyme. I forget the rhyme, but you know what I mean. My memory span today is like
yeah,
fleeting.
Tyler and I, we just found out that we're both pretty tired, and so we're. I couldn't remember. There's certain things I just couldn't remember, but whatever. I don't care.
You know
I'm
what?
having fun.
We're going.
Yeah, we're going. So So yeah, man.
Yeah, dude, what's up?
I'm doing this underpainting. I'm doing a couple of them. I'm working on like I showed you that the larger version of that the previous painting that I was working on, the larger version of the small painting that I
Right.
did on, right. And I was thinking to myself, I told you that, and I don't mind sharing this. I told Tyler, I was like, I haven't done anything in a while that was like, I felt was truly impressive. And I really want to make this look good. And I've been experimenting a lot, doing different things because I get bored. Like Tyler and I both get bored. But I think I've come to a point where I'm just like, all right, now I'm just ready to make a piece. Let's just focus on making the piece the absolute best piece I can make. Like the absolute. Not that I haven't like pushed the piece as far as I could go. Like, okay, this could be better. Here's things. But like physically, is there anything else I can do to this piece? That sort of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
you're taking it to the limit.
yeah. Watch. I mean, the work would look the same, but I'm sure. But to me, I'm like, I
I
have
think
to
you're
go
gonna
the
go
extra
crazy this
mile.
time, dude. I've seen it. I see what you're working on. It's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna be burnt out and be like, dude, I never want to do that again.
I recently did a piece like that, so I get it. And
Yeah.
just a massive piece, and I was like, I can't.
that
I
got
was
that got
so
that got
burnt.
released.
It's like a low res version got released. I posted it on my social media.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
We
that
don't have to talk
huge,
about it if you don't want to
that
talk about it.
that big old battle scene that I did, but it was just so much. Yeah,
Those
man,
of you
I
not.
get it.
I mean,
I get it.
can we talk about it, or you don't want to talk about it? That's fine if we don't want to talk about it.
No, we can talk about it. Yeah,
I don't care.
I don't care.
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about Lou Diamond Phillips. I don't give a. You know
You
what I
already
mean?
started. You already started.
I know. Uh, so Tyler did this. How many cards is it going to be?
It's like
Like
18 cards.
18 cards. Okay. For the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering.
Yeah,
Right? Is
exactly,
it?
exactly.
Does it right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
A
right.
card set,
The
but he did it as
licensed
one
crossover
gig.
thing.
It was a Battle of Pelennor Fields, right? If I'm
Yeah,
correct.
you're right.
It's huge, 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 huge. I mean,
Too
did you
huge.
count
Too
how many
many
figures?
huges.
Can you?
Oh,
Did
dude, I
you?
didn't. It was so many. I lost count.
Like I wouldn't even have. I wouldn't even bother have counting. Like I just would because
It's
I
just
just
there's
would have
like a
been like,
whole there's a crap ton of orcs in the front, and it just got out of hand. Too many. Just got out of hand.
do you think painters? I mean, like, man, some painters like back in the days, like those narrative French academic painters or like Italian Renaissance painters. Yeah, the multi-figured okay, so Caravaggio, like when he's busting out things, or even like Ernest Meissonier, who did that Charging of Napoleon, or
Oh my god,
Edwin Austin Abbey, like we were talking
Edwin
about.
Austin Abbey. Yeah, that guy was
Yeah,
crazy.
that dude, or Alma Tadema,
Yeah, yeah.
um, it's like they must have taken just years to do things.
It had to have been like some of those
Because,
Eli Rippin paintings.
dude, yeah, repping right, duh. Didn't even think about him.
I mean, well, I'm mostly like I was freaking out to Ray the other day about those Abbey pieces, and there's just like 100 people in them, maybe more, and they're all like really carefully painted portraits. I mean, it's just madness. I don't know how it was
Yeah,
even achievable.
I saw his Boston Library murals.
Whew.
They're incredible. I just stood there and I was like, that is that is nuts.
Yeah,
But and when you look at them really up close, they're so solidly painted. It's not like, so you have to understand what people like. it's not about they're high fidelity paintings, but it's not like eyelashes. It's fidelity in the sense that it's like believable and solid. Like the sense of form is really well explained,
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
and it's so well like communicated. You know, or like there's this painting. Oh my god, I forgot the artist. Shame on me.
Yeah, man, that's
It's a
rare
death
thing.
death of Saint Catherine in the in Paris. The oh my god, what's it called? The Pantheon, I think it's called.
No,
Not the Parthenon,
Pantheon's
the Pantheon.
no the Pantheon's
Parthenon
in
then.
no the one's in Greece and one's in Rome. So
Parthenon then. It's a
oh, okay,
Paris Parthenon then.
the Paris
Dude, it's
Parthenon.
it's yeah, it's crazy. It's so big. It's monumental. It's over life size. I think it's over life size.
Sounds awesome.
If it is an over life size, I mean, Tyler. There must have been 100 figures, easy,
Whew. I don't know
all
how. I don't know
painted,
how it's done.
all painted to like, just perfectly. You know, like all those passages and like hadn't the best of had in some bloom, you know,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like all that there, like held together. It was just it's so well done. That was the best painting I've ever seen. Best figurative painting, I think. I still will maintain. And I've seen Sistine Chapel and all that stuff. I think that's the best figurative painting I've ever seen. It was like nuts. And
A hot take. Sistine Chapel's all
yeah,
right, but there are so many other pieces that are
yeah,
way
it's like
way better.
dude, it's like Star Wars, or it's like Star Wars, or like judging the yeah, it's like Star Wars, like in judging the special effects of the original Star Wars versus like the special effects of Lord of the Rings.
Right. Yeah,
I
it's like
mean, it's just
context. You got
like
to take context, right?
yeah, it's like it's all right, like or like
Well, it's like looking at the
I always
original
view.
King Kong and being like,
I
"Oh
was just
yeah, it
gonna
would look
say
hokey."
for me, I always tell people like, oh, the Mona. Always people used to say like, yeah, I watched the Mona Lisa. I saw the Mona Lisa. It's okay, and it was like, well, you got to understand, this was like crazy. This was like a next level thing. So
Yeah,
it's like Star Wars, but really Mona Lisa is like King Kong, like the special effects of the original King Kong. Like it was mind. Like people just went nuts, and you could tell it was like the style because everyone's aping it. I was around that time. I went to the Met, and they had a Da Vinci show, or was it the Met? I think it was in Italy, somewhere in Milan. That's where it was, years ago. And it was a Da Vinci show, and they were talking about that. They talk about the Mona Lisa, and the Mona Lisa obviously wasn't there because it's in the Louvre in Paris. But they were seeing, like, they were showing all of the influence, how it was influenced. And like, dude, you see like the style of the Mona Lisa, like the Mona Lisa's eyes, Mona Lisa's, like, people, you could tell those artists went there
yeah, 100%.
and drew it or copied or did something, and wherever it was, and you know, just aped it because it looked so cool.
When it became a
Like,
standard for how to render, essentially, for a long time.
oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's a badass little portrait, man. It's the fact that it still holds up after today. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it's tiny. It's a tiny little thing.
He wasn't even that much of a painter.
I know, I know. That's the thing. It's sort of like, oh, this guy comes in here and paints a painting that puts a lot of us to shame.
Yeah,
And he's not
dude.
even
He
a
was just
painter,
like kind
but
of
he's like a
carried it around with
technician,
him.
right? So
Yeah,
he's like, I
and
figured
a
out a
sculptor.
technique.
He said that wasn't. He felt his greatest work was that horse that fell apart.
Oh yeah, his huge sculpted horse.
Yeah, that they
They
rebuilt.
didn't even, yeah, the thing that took like tons and tons of people just to put together.
Yeah, it was like I don't think the technology was there where he had the right people around him to build it.
Yeah, he was ahead of his
Amazing.
time, right? I mean, that's the cool thing about him.
Yeah, he's right. He's the man, you know. Yeah, it's all
Anyways,
about context. Like Wolverine Chops who said context is king. Much better paintings than the Sistine Chapel, but not many better frescoes. That shit is painted on wet plaster. Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna get to that. It's like that thing was painted on wet plaster.
yeah.
What? No, thank you.
I mean, it's like it's in Milan as well. Da Vinci's his fresco that he was like trying to change the technique and it all fell apart. The Last Supper.
Is it that's in Milan?
Yeah, it's off. That's like the northern part of the city.
Dude, why did I not
It's awesome.
like
And it's really good,
would
and
have
it's in a
thought I would have
room.
seen
Like
that?
there are two frescoes in the room. There's,
Oh, it might have
um,
been getting repaired or cleaned, I
yeah, maybe it
think.
was getting
I,
clean. It's not even
I
in
could
this. It's
totally
not like owned by the church. It's on a building off the side of this particular church.
wow,
So they can't like you can't just go into the church and see it. You have to go onto the side building and pay to see it by whoever owns it,
of course.
which is
Of
lame,
course.
but whatever. And the thing is, it's in a room with another fresco that was done at the exact same time, and it's the other fresco is terrible. And you can imagine like being in this room painting with Leonardo da Vinci, and how intimidated that dude must have felt.
I know,
Because it's
right?
just no, it's not good. It's not a good piece, and
E-
it's like you can see him like you can imagine him like turning around and seeing like oh god, like oh my
Dude,
god, this
I
I
would
gotta
have.
I gotta be careful.
I don't know if I could.
Oh man, look at that. We just got the guard has arrived.
Dude, the guard's
Dave
back
Peterson
again. My
has
God,
has
Dave Peterson has like, what's up, guys? How's
hey
how's
guys.
everyone doing? Thanks so much, David, man. Are you hanging around or are you going to dinner? That's awesome. Look,
Thanks, Dave.
dude, look at those
Thanks.
emotes.
Thanks for bringing
Dinner
everyone
soon.
in. Dinner
That's
soon.
yeah.
So what I was saying is, so you go into this room, right? And yeah, there's this huge fresco, and it's Leonardo da Vinci's fresco. It's amazing. It's the only problem is right. It's falling off because of his new technique that he was trying to pull off. So it's a lot of it's kind of just fallen off the wall. And on the other side is like a mediocre piece from the time period, but it's the context. Like we were just talking about how context is everything, and it totally is. It's one of the most important things. To see the context of like this is what was going on during the time that was like regular fresco, and then you see this Da Vinci piece right next to it on the other wall, and it's just a game
Unstoppable.
changer, like a game
Yeah,
changer.
unstoppable. I mean, you want a modern day context. I mean, you look at fantasy art before Frazetta.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
I
good,
mean, if you want to, I
great
mean, if you want to
example.
play the game, like, what is fantasy art? I mean, yes, I get that, but like popularized fantasy art from from paperbacks and things like that. Science fiction did not have any of the best artists. Like all those people were doing, lifestyle illustrations or paintings of pirates and stuff. If you want to go back before that, and the Wild West, not about flying ships.
When you look
I
at
think the
like,
closest someone got was like Jules Verne,
yeah, yeah,
you know, and one of the Brandywine painters illustrated a copy of that. But you know, I mean, around when Frazetta was painting, nobody was doing that stuff, man.
I think they have some of it in the documentary about him, the Painting with Fire one,
Yeah,
where they show
yeah,
like some Conan illustrations before he was doing Conan,
yeah.
and it's
By
hilarious.
competent painters too. By competent painters, like there were people.
Yeah,
But like it painted like it paid garbage, right? So you're not going to attract the best artists.
right,
So the pay was awful. There was much better pay elsewhere. So that's where the talent goes, right? I mean, the talent goes where the money, follows the money. Um,
always.
always, right? So like, just yeah, I just you could just see it. So Frazetta just hit a whole sort of another level, and those paintings are incredible. And you can see people that have built off of that though, which is really exciting.
Yeah,
You know,
um, Jeffrey Catherine Jones.
yeah,
There's
man.
so many people built off the back of that. Brahm even.
Brahm, yeah, totally. Um, oh, before I forget,
Yeah, yeah.
David, make sure you throw your website
If you're still
or
around.
the link to your stream if you're still here into the chat because we want to make sure people come visit you and support you because what you do is awesome.
100%. Oh,
Um,
man.
yeah, so I don't even know what we were getting off on a crazy ass tangent. So
We're always
multi-figure
this.
paintings, man,
This whole show
dude.
is tangents, man. This is how we operate.
Is it tangent brush? Is it?
We
Should we
should
call it
call
the
it that.
tangent?
We should change the name.
The tangent. We should do a drinking show called Tequilas and Tangents. Like
Yeah.
an art show.
Speaking of
We'll
that,
double
I'm
on.
having a little tequila myself.
You are?
Yeah, it's one of those
Man.
days. One of those days.
Oh my god. Dude, ah man. You didn't tell me that. You told me pretty sure I would have joined you.
Oh man. Send out the
Come
bat
on, man.
signal. Send out the bat signal. Someone will deliver you something. They got that in Buffalo, right? Deliverable booze.
We do. I got it. I got it though. I got stuff. I don't have tequila. I'm not a fan of like there's a good tequila. I'm just too
I'm just doing an añejo. I don't do blanco.
yeah.
Blanco's headache juice.
Yeah, it's headache juice. Añejo's I love it. That's good stuff. Ray removed the beard something, right? David, I
Yeah.
have no idea what you're talking about.
This is
Okay.
somebody else. This isn't Ray. We didn't have time to swap out the name. This is a gentleman with a smooth face.
uh, so David, I was trimming my beard, and then I didn't do such a great job. I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, hey, I think it's good, and I put my glasses on, and I was like, oh my god. I didn't charge my little trimmer, so it was like, I'm dying. So
I bet there's a lot of folks that didn't recognize you today.
a situation occurred. Hi, I'm Ray Bonilla. Please like and subscribe if you're viewing this on YouTube. We have not replaced hosts on Livebrush.
No, same old.
Yeah, Ray Smooth. Yeah, paint one
Smooth
on
Ray.
yourself, David. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, Smooth Ray. It's like Smooth Yoda.
Hey, look at this. MoveBot actually announced our Vision X
Oh,
live
thanks, Smooth.
thing
We got to pull that down.
a couple of weeks late. Thanks,
You know
MoveBot.
what? Go over
Love
there
you.
anyways. There's all kinds of cool stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah, you could purchase a replay
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
of all the videos on demand, so you don't miss anything, and they're all hour long. I was we get a pass because we were exhibitors, and it's just incredible information, all the keynotes and stuff. But make sure you use that. Just use the code RBO22. You save 30% off the whole thing. If it's still valid, if there's still a thing for a coupon code, I don't see why there wouldn't be. But if there is, use that code. Don't pay full price. Don't pay full price.
Never pay full price.
Never.
I think yeah. I think Howard's got some stuff on there, right? Howard Lyon.
Yeah, Howard's wife was had a
Oh,
great one
that's
on
right. She's
acoustics
fantastic.
that I sat in on. I thought was great. It was really informative. I was like, man, Tyler and I were just talking about Star Trek.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's
Jeez.
like, I,
He had like a really informative video, and we're like BSing about movies.
did you
Like,
see?
did you see
Was it?
Predator or Prey?
Yeah,
What
did
did
you
you
see
think of
Predator?
that?
Dude, first I haven't seen Prey yet. I got to do that.
I saw it.
We could talk about it. I saw the
No, no,
other Predators.
I don't need to. I don't need to.
Okay, I saw the other Predator.
I mean, I can give you my
Like the
opinion. I can give you my grade. I
I
can grade
don't
it
know.
right
I don't know
now.
if I want that. I
But
don't
I don't
know.
want. Here's the thing: is if I grade it, I feel like I'm gonna pollute your experience. You know,
You will.
if
You
I
will.
say like it was amazing, or if I say like, oh, it was blah, you're gonna go into it either way with that in mind,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that to you.
I respect that. I respect that. Like we have friends that I won't name,
Name
and
them. Come on.
I have family members. I have family members. Okay, that I was talking to a family member. I won't say which, and we were talking about the Thor movie. He said, "Did you see the Thor movie?" And I said, "No, I didn't. I don't." And I could tell they were going to say something. I said, "Don't tell me anything. I want to see it. Don't tell me anything, please."
Okay, and then they did.
And as soon as I was done speaking, I didn't like it that much. Here's why. And I'm like,
See, that's it. That's
I just
something.
finished telling you.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's part of the
I know you're
something.
not like that.
No, I wouldn't. Someone in the chat's saying like, "Oh, it looks like he didn't like it." Well, no, I didn't say whether I liked it or not.
I
I'm
could
keeping
tell.
that to myself. Keeping that to myself.
Charles Setting probably worked on Prey, right?
But I could I could go out there and write like a little review, say what I thought.
Dude, you have time for that?
No, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. My sometimes you could probably hear it in the background chat. My dog's barking, and sometimes we just like to see how long it'll take her to stop. She just goes, and goes and goes.
I don't hear
Okay,
your
good.
dog.
You don't hear it. I was seeing it on my levels. I was seeing it pop in, and
Really? Yeah, maybe
yeah,
on the demand, maybe we'll hear it. I don't know.
yeah. She's just gonna keep going until one of us goes up and says, "Hey, you can stop now."
Well, I don't have
I didn't mean to
zero
correct you. I
proof
didn't mean to
here.
correct you. I mean,
Correct
I,
me
I
all
really want to say
rest of it.
what I thought about it, but I don't want to ruin it for Ray. I'm a bit because this happens to me. If someone I know or I like respect their opinion or whatever says something about a movie before I go see it, like whether it was good or bad, that's how I think about it when I go in. Or if they're like, "Oh, I hated
Yeah,
it," then I go in like I'm just ready to riff it the whole time. If they said they hated it,
right.
but it
And
could
it
have
takes
been
that
good,
much
right?
more. It takes yeah, I'm not accepting of whatever the movie is.
Yeah, I
The,
needed in a vacuum in a lot of ways.
yeah. And also if people love on the thing so much, and I'm like, this better be freaking good or I am shitting on this movie until,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, until my last breath.
That's how I went into this one. Was everybody in the internet was like, "It's amazing!" Voila!
Oh,
So,
really?
so I'm not going to say
Oh, I
anything
didn't.
beyond that. But that's how I went into this particular one.
Uh, well, I'm happy they're doing Predator movies. No, I actually
Yeah, man.
haven't,
Me totally. Me too.
because the last one was the McTiernan one, right?
Oh no, the last Predator movie,
Oh no,
like
Robert Rodriguez.
Alien
He like
versus something or
produced it.
other.
No,
Yeah.
there was one with
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
Predator,
So there was the Predator a few years ago,
right? What was the
which
one with
was
Robert Rodriguez?
atrocious. The one that was the Predator was Shane Black, who was in the original Predator
Shane
movie.
Black. Yes, Shane
And then
Black.
I want to say Robert Rodriguez had influence on the one that was called Predators,
Right,
plural.
because they shot it in his studio. They shot it on indoors, the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah, I can't really remember. None of them were really standout.
I watched them both. They were great.
The Predator was so rough, was so bad, and I accidentally bought it. I think I talked about this on the stream before because I thought it was the original Predator when I was buying a bunch of movies to watch on a comic book
The
push.
Shane Black one.
Yeah, and then I bought the Shane Black one, and now I own it. I permanently own that one.
Oh no, Tyler. Tyler, that movie is like it's like somebody who was really popular in the '90s, like really popular, like hit the feeling, the fashion, the attitude, like just gelled with who they were as a person. And they never changed, and they just thought that it was the world's problem
Yeah, yeah.
that they
That's
couldn't be
that's a great
accepted.
way to put it.
And it's like, nope, it's you, buddy. It's
Which is
just,
this is I can't blame Shane Black for that though because he usually makes really great movies.
oh yeah,
Like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, awesome.
love Kiss Kiss Bang
The
Bang.
what was it
Yep.
The Nice Guys,
Yep.
awesome. Like he makes great movies, but that like him returning to that franchise that he like started with, and no, bad idea, bad idea.
I don't know,
Plus, apparently that movie got like really chopped up in editing, which maybe it'd have been
dude.
better. I don't know.
I mean, no. You saw the story elements. The story elements
Yeah,
were there. Well, what is editing? Not everything is Star Wars, right?
it's like
Not
Aliens. Alien 3. It screwed up in editing. Did you hold on
no.
one sec? Did you just bring her down?
No, I'm gonna go up there with her.
Oh, if you muzzle her up, bring her down.
Nah, it's fine. She needs to cope.
All right. Sorry, dog problems.
Dog
It's all right.
problems.
If
You
she's
have a
up
dog
there by
problem,
herself, it's like she thinks it's like guard duty time. Like any little sound I gotta guard the house against. Anyways, what were we talking about? Movies?
Predator.
Oh man.
Listen, you know what? I
No,
went
I
into
think we
that
should.
movie.
Okay, go ahead.
I went into that movie. I
Which
went
one?
into that movie, both of them. I was like,
Predators and The Predator.
the Predator. I'm ready for that. I was like, I went into that movie and I was like, I'm ready for some schlock, man. Let's do this.
Oh, okay, okay. So if you were going in for schlock, then you got it. I
Well,
don't
I
I
mean, the
don't
original
associate
Predator was schlocky, but
I
schlocky
don't
was like in.
I don't associate the original Predator as a schlocky movie. That's my problem. That is my problem. My
Arnold
personal problem.
Schwarzenegger with the 7 foot stogies, pulling pranks on Jesse the
Yeah,
Body
but it's John
Ventura.
McTiernan, man. It's like saying Francis Ford Coppola
And
made schlocky movies.
he made some schlocky movies.
It's true, he did.
Godfather 3. Some movies he just made are awful. Like, hey, listen, man, nobody can, I wish
Are
I
we
could make
going
it
down
a
this road?
movie, right?
Are we
No,
going
no,
down
I'm
the
just
Godfather
saying.
3 road?
No, I mean,
We should.
it's cool. It's cool. Like, dude, man, he made Apocalypse Now and he made Godfather. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
can you
And
imagine
Dracula.
making two, at least just one, and Dracula, which I haven't seen yet.
Oh my god.
Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. I tried. No, I promised.
It's all right. I haven't watched that one thing, so. Oh man.
There you go.
So
Nick DeLuca, 96 has. You want to read this one?
oh, which one were we looking at?
Oh, sorry. I thought that's where you're. Oh, I might have been. I might be like behind on the chat here. Nick says if one is trying to get work for D&D, what would be the best way to approach it? And second, Predator, Predators, and Prey, great films.
Predator and Predator 2, great films. And I'll hold off judgment on Prey because I don't want to pollute Ray's. Like I said,
Predator 2 though, I
I
haven't seen. I
love
haven't
Predator
seen that
2.
one. That people hated that movie.
I know they did, and they were wrong, man. People hated Big Trouble in Little China when it came out. They were wrong.
Well, yeah,
Danny Glover taking on the Predator, Bill Paxton.
dude. Listen. You don't have to tell me. There's not like you don't even have to explain it to me. You just have to say Danny Glover and Bill Paxton in the same movie,
Yeah,
and that could be it. Could be about taxidermy for all I care.
and you know what it didn't have in common with the shooter is that Danny Glover didn't have braces on the whole time.
Was that? Can I ask a question about that? Was that a
Please.
part of his character?
Dude, I have no idea.
Like in the
I
book?
don't know. I don't.
Because
I hope so.
that movie sucked.
I hope it was a character choice. I hope it was like I'm
Yeah,
Danny
I watched
Glover.
that movie. I watched that in the movie theaters.
No kidding, man.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what?
yeah.
all right.
It was slim pickings at the time, and I needed to get out and watch that.
Yeah,
movie.
you need to see a film.
And
You need to see a picture.
Square. I mean, like he had this really horrible list. I mean, listen, I'm not making fun of people with speech impediments, but Danny Glover had braces on that were clearly Invisalign braces.
I thought they were
And
like
he's like,
regular braces. Like I thought he had like legit like the things
He might
glued to
have
your
had
teeth
legit.
braces on.
You might be. You might be right. You might be right. It was so long ago,
But here's my
and
thing with
he was
that.
slurring the whole movie, and I
Yeah,
was like, he's the bad guy, right? He's the bad guy in this, right?
this is my thing with this whole situation, dude. Is that they do ADR in movies. If you guys don't know what ADR is, after
That's
they shoot a
exactly
movie,
why.
they go
Yeah,
back and they redub all the bad parts of it.
that's not the way things are done on Shooter, my
Which
friend. Okay,
apparently, well, what it suggests
not a
for
movie
me,
person.
like what it suggests for me is that Shooter was either so quick to the theaters after production that they didn't have time to do ADR, or Danny Glover had those braces on for so long that they could never get clean audio out of them.
Uh,
I'm just glad we talked
I
about
would
it. I'm
like,
glad we talked. I keep hitting my.
I would like to
Sorry,
think
chat. I
I would
keep
like
hitting my
to,
camera.
I would like to think, I would like to think a third option.
Okay, let's hear option three.
They screened it, right? They test screened it, and it got one of the highest scores ever, right? And they were like, "We gotta release this now." It's blowing up, and we don't even have ADR for Glover. They don't even care because the movie's so powerful.
Yeah,
Let's release it now.
let's get it out there so that people can see it, so they don't miss
And
any
they
of it.
made a TV series from it, baby. So someone's getting paid, right? You
Yeah,
know,
I'm just glad they made the movie. It really showed
yeah.
us how you can make a movie, how the options that you have of making a film. The choices you can make. You know what?
Oh,
In the chat, Jacob, I highly recommend it, man.
Jake,
Predator Two is
Jacob.
great. It's really cool,
Yeah,
and
Predators or
you can
Morpheus in a
thank me
samurai
later.
fight. Yeah, that's right.
The samurai
That's
one,
right.
Predators. Yeah.
The Morpheus. No, it was Samuel Jackson. I mean, no,
Oh, it was
not
Lawrence
Samuel
Fishburne.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, dude. That was cool. That was pretty cool. I'll give him that. That was nice.
God, Lawrence Fishburne.
How do you beat Lawrence
Thank goodness
Fishburne?
did he ever was he ever asked back to the Matrix?
Um, I didn't watch the latest Matrix.
Oh, are you going to?
No, absolutely not.
Well,
So
you
spoil
dodged the
it.
bullet. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I heard it was just a hot mess. And when I hear that, when I hear like it's trash, I
No.
will not. I definitely won't be able to. That's like me, like we just talked about a minute ago, me like polluting your opinion of it. That when I hear that, like, oh,
No.
this is absolute trash. There's no way I'll be able to see it with a clear head.
There was one point where I was like concerned for the people that made the movie. I'm like,
Like
something must
their
have went
lives are in danger.
catastrophically wrong. No, I'm like something must have went catastrophically wrong. Like at what point did they say like look at the movie in the editing room and be like, "Oh shit,
Ship it.
what did we do?"
I heard it had a real Gremlins 2 vibe. That's what I heard.
Is that who? Who'd you hear that from?
I
Warner
don't
PR?
no, I just somebody who had seen it was like it's really like self-referential like Gremlins 2. Like Gremlins 2 is like really just
So
they
are we
didn't even
comparing
care.
the original Gremlins to the Matrix?
No, yeah, to the Matrix. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Dude.
do you,
I mean, they're not like Gremlins is
it felt
amazing.
it felt I know it is, but it's not the Matrix.
No,
It
okay.
changed
No, no, no. I'm not
society.
like saying like, oh, let's hold the Matrix up to Gremlins, the original. I'm just
But
saying
that's what I'm
the Matrix was serious and Gremlins was fairly serious. There's some like
Oh yeah.
slapstick in it, but Gremlins
Oh
2
yeah.
is like it's just like that Key and
Just
Peele
crazy slapstick.
sketch, dude,
Yeah.
where they're just like,
Yeah.
well, let's throw whatever we can in here. Cocaine party.
For sure. For sure. But I feel like Gremlins, you can kind of do that with the animatronic hand puppets and all that stuff. Like, there's a little wiggle room for that. But to do a 180 on it, like it felt irresponsible. I'm like, if you're gonna make a movie like that, just let somebody else do it. But
Right.
you know, listen, if I'm the Wachowskis, I'll do whatever I want.
Well, it was
Right?
only
I mean,
one. It was only Lana this time, so maybe
right.
that was
But
a
I
the
think
factor.
they told, did they told Lana like we're gonna make it whether or not you're involved? Was
I
that one
think
of the
that was
things?
it. Was they were like, we're going to make another one, whether you're involved or not, so you can be involved and have some creative control. I mean, I don't know if it was
I mean,
my creation, I'd be like, I guess I'm in. I guess I'm in.
well, it felt like it was a super reluctant thing. Like it was like it was that, or like Lana was like, "I'll make sure you never make another Matrix movie again."
Yeah, I do like that as a take on it. I haven't seen it, of course, but from how bad I hear it does seem like Lana was like, "You're never. I'm ending this franchise right now. This game
Because
is over."
like the first season of Sense8, and like, did you watch Sense8? Is this Sense8?
No, I didn't.
Sense
Was
eight,
it good?
dude. I was like, this is incredible. This is Matrix, but this is not steampunky. It's just yeah. It's I thought it was like, how did you even manage this intricate narrative?
Oh, cool.
But it got canceled because it was super expensive. But like, I was like, these are the same people. I mean, oh man, it was a PG-13 too.
The latest Matrix? Yeah, I don't know. Probably. For me, that's usually like a crippling factor in a movie.
Just go watch John Wick again.
Hey, I like to think that is the Matrix. That is just another story of the
What if,
Matrix.
what if Disney makes? I love that. I love that. What if episode?
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
What if Disney makes a fifth Matrix? And Cranston, I love it. Which is sensational. Just yeah. Listen, it was there. It's low hanging. You go ahead and pick that.
I agree with you, Lord Adorable. Everything, everywhere, all at once was really great. Totally a Matrix movie. Super cool.
Yeah. Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah.
Matrix 4 is a movie about identity made by someone who's dealing with their own identity. It's self-referential on way too many levels. Yeah, I just feel like it didn't have to be a Matrix movie. I felt that those but that's my opinion. I mean, it's worth just as much as the next person's opinion, right?
Oh yeah. No, I
Um,
mean, this is all of
like
our
you didn't have
opinions.
to. Why not just say that? It's just that the characters didn't fit. Like it was, they almost felt like there was just like a secondary thing. But maybe because Matrix was like a love letter to all of the Japanese anime and comic books that the Wachowskis read,
Yeah, you could
and
totally
the
see it in there.
Hong Kong, and then the Hong Kong flicks too. Those movies,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna tell you, Tyler, right? I mean the Hong Kong
So
movies, wire work, all that stuff. Tyler,
yeah, yeah.
the Matrix, the Matrix movie, the newest one, the fighting was atrocious.
Uh-oh. That's like a cornerstone of the Matrix. The fighting's supposed to be
A
good.
cornerstone. The first big fight, I was like, dude, was this shot on an iPhone? What is going on here?
You know what? I'm gonna have to watch it, but it's at this point it's gonna be a hate watch, as Kate and I call it.
It's not like
I
it
gotta hate
just
watch it.
be like you won't even listen. Give it a shot. I like the third. I listen. I love the trilogy of the
I'll say it
Matrix.
right
I thought it
now.
was,
This is gonna piss everybody off in the chat. I like all three of the original Matrix movies.
I love all three,
Yeah,
and I
here
think
we
the
go.
third one's better than the second one. There, I said it.
Okay, okay. I don't know if we agree there, but I still like them. I like them.
I haven't watched the second one in a long time, so I probably, I've spent a long time defending the third one.
In pop culture, man, this is you're like the nerds are gonna throw you out. You're done. You
It's
said that
okay.
you liked the Matrix trilogy. You're done.
I like Star
Your
Trek
life's
one.
over.
I personally thought the Matrix had some compelling themes. Yeah, yeah.
I
Man,
liked
it's
Alien
late.
3, dude. I love Alien 3.
I just this is Star Trek five had some great themes that they were dealing with. Okay, it did.
Yeah, man, Spock
It
punched a
did.
horse. Wait, did he punch a horse or
Dude,
did he
they
give
were
a
out
horse
to
the
see
neck pinch?
the center of the universe because they thought God existed there.
Yeah, I mean, what, Kirk better take on. I mean, it
Do you
was
know
a
what I'm
generic
saying,
god.
though?
Like, it wasn't taking on Jesus or anything. He was just taking on a god.
Yeah, but it was just, it was great. There, I said it.
Wait, what was great? Star Trek 5?
The premise of it had many compelling points.
Oh, that's true. That could have been cool. They kind of did that in TNG, like where Q. I mean, Q is kind of that character. They could have just made like a.
Yeah,
Could have just thrown Q out there.
man, we are like jumping all over the
I
place.
know
You know,
we're
we
all over.
started with
We're jumping. We're
Predators.
jumping over so far that I don't even know what I'm doing with this painting. Number one, I don't have a clue. And number two, I've completely lost track of the chat. I don't know what's happening. Are there any questions?
They're no, they're doing great. Yeah,
Okay,
see, like
so they're on their
Devin
own.
Devin
They're on
F.
their
First
own.
time chat. Hey, thanks, Devin. Yeah, the fights were really bad. Real time fights felt like slow motion. Yeah, yeah. Love the final. The third one fights of the Agent Smith is too much rain. Yeah, I know.
I like the
Yeah,
too much
yeah.
rain. I love the too much rain. And
And with the fist, just like,
as a
listen,
context
man. At
thing,
that time,
like as a context, like if you look at the behind the scenes of that, they made these really cool. Like they couldn't shoot it with full rain machines, right? So they made these super cool jackets for Hugo Weaving and Keanu Reeves to wear that looked like they were wet, but they were completely dry. They looked soaking wet. I don't know how they did it. They used some like weird plastic beads or something that they adhered to the. It's super cool. I don't know. I mean,
listen.
I could go on all day. I liked the trilogy as a whole.
I liked it. I liked it as a whole. I
I,
thought
I loved the
the rain
idea.
is nuts. It's awesome and it's just nuts. And at that point, I was like, let's go.
It's
You know.
cool,
And then
yeah.
he's
Whatever.
blind. You know, I had it was a comic book writer had point this out. I was into Dune at the time,
Yeah.
like around like a couple of years back, like really just reading all of them, and I stalled out at the fifth one, Heretics, which is I think I stopped reading it because I didn't want to. I was reading it too fast, and I didn't want it to end because it was like probably my
Dude,
favorite one, and
I've
now
done
I
that.
forgot about everything, right? But he was telling me about like there was a point in Heretics, spoilers. I mean, um,
It's all right. It was written like
where
100 years ago or whatever. So
there's all this like these things, right? But the comic book artist was like, like Matrix is like heavily influenced by Dune. Like Dune heavily influenced the Matrix. He's like, do you remember the time where Neo basically sacrificed himself because everyone thought he was just the one, this religious person. He knew it wasn't the case. He said that there was something, he realized there's something else up. Dude, that happens in Dune.
oh no shit.
It's like, yeah, dude, everything. The whole being blinded.
What? Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, it's and I'm still getting goosebumps when he was drawing
Nothing's
the lines,
original,
and I
dude.
was like, "Are
Nothing's
you
original.
kidding me? That is incredible! Well, what a great way of using that, though.
Yeah,
Like,
for
it's
sure.
such a smart way of because it was all about the same thing. It was like he needed to go blind to actually see what true vision was, like to actually see, And the
Yeah,
same thing happens.
I guess,
It's
dude.
yeah,
I guess in hindsight, it's like that is the Matrix, right? It's this wonderful like amalgamation of all of these other stories that were already done, but told in like a
yeah.
very unique new way, which is all stories, man. That is stories. So, yeah, I can't. I gotta say, I can't fault him for that. That's awesome. It's a cool way to tell a story.
Well, and also like I think it's made it was made for the time that it was made in. Like it's just it hit right on the levels. Like it was, everything like the Wachowskis at their age around that time, their generation was looking into all that stuff, Jeff
Yeah.
Darrow's artwork, heavy metal, Dune, freaking, Japanese anime. Like no other the film directors, the North American film directors, they weren't influenced by that until that point. Like they
Right.
had other
Right.
influences. It's the reason why Indiana Jones happened and it was incredible, and then the Crystal Skull happened and it was awful. It was like the worst movie ever, and it's because I just don't think like they're different people. Like Steven Spielberg wasn't the same Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg who shot Crystal Skull wasn't the same Steven Spielberg who made the original ones like Raiders and Temple and Last Crusade. Like none of that. So like, and I think it's the same thing with the Matrix. Like if I was them, I just wouldn't. I'd be like, I'm such a different person. Like I don't even want to do that. You know.
Yeah, it's like
So
I think it's a good case to like hand sequels over to somebody else. I think that's why Aliens is so successful
yeah,
as a sequel, because they handed it to a new director who had fresh eyes on it and was like, I'm not going to do a horror movie. This time we're doing an action movie because there's nothing to be afraid of anymore.
right.
Because we've
And
seen the
that's why Blade
monster.
Runner worked out. That's why Blade Runner worked out.
I agree. It's that many years later. It can be an
Yeah.
homage, but it can be something fresh.
And bravo to Ridley Scott on both occasions.
Yeah, to make the groundwork for something incredible, and then to be like, you know what, let other people take care of this.
Jolly Green.
Jolly Green, man. They never did that with Legend. No one ever followed that up.
They can't. European cut's perfect film.
Kate's not here, dude.
Dude. Oh man. I gotta watch that again. I would sit down and watch the European cut of Legend any day. God, what a film. That okay.
Okay, here we go. Jacob's brought up something interesting.
Okay. Why
You
do you
are
both love
you're
me?
you know what? I'm glad you put it this way, Jacob, because your question, the way you framed it, is 100% correct. Yeah, Jacob Sweet's asking us, why do we, Ray and I, both love The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and why is it our favorite movie in existence? Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Do you want to
I
go
love it.
first?
I love
Do
The
you want to
Mummy
go?
with
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser. I love it. I'll go
Okay. What do
first.
you think?
I love it because it's it's like a modern like Sinbad. Remember Sinbad? Remember the Harryhausen-y movies?
The comedian? Of course I
No,
remember.
the movie about Sinbad and the Seven
Yeah,
Seas or
of
whatever.
course. Yeah. Yeah. Of
It's
course.
that. It's that. It's like it's this
Yeah.
like
It's totally that.
ridiculous. Like they totally nailed it. Everything about it, they nailed it. The sort of pulpiness, the swashbuckleriness, like that quality, they nailed it. And I don't know. I don't think those movies did really well. And I think Steven Sommers, the guy who directed them, is probably a dirty word in a lot of people's households.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah.
were so like one and two. That's I think they made more after
Dude,
that. But one and
they
two
made the
are
third. They made
awesome.
the third one. Yeah. One and two. Mummy and Mummy Returns.
Yeah, Mummy Returns.
They're so good. They're so
Except
good.
for the digital rock at the end of Mummy Returns,
It's okay.
it's
It's
fantastic.
okay. Despite that,
In spite of that, it's
in
fantastic.
spite of that, I was like, yeah. You know what's funny is like I remember seeing that in the movie theaters, and when that came up, because I was just blown away by the rest of the whole other movie. Like the rest of the special effects. I just remember thinking, wow, okay, so they hit
They
they
hit
hit
the
the limit.
they
They
hit the
went too
ceiling
far.
on budget.
And like, I'm like, good for them. Like, good for them for hitting what was capable. I thought like what was actually possible, but there were better, you know, examples of that at the time. There was do you know Corridor Digital?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I keep mentioning them to you. Listen, I will not watch Coppola's Dracula until you watch my lightsaber fighting Corridor Digital.
Yeah, let's put
Realistic
those on the
lightsaber.
same level. Let's put those on the same level.
I will. You know what? I
Your
will. I
YouTube
will because
lightsaber video and
no. But
one of the
it's
best
by an
depictions
actual
of.
swordsmith, an actual sword master,
Okay, I like that.
talking
You
about
know, I
how
like that.
unrealistic. Okay, right? It is right in your will. in your
I like to
wheelbarrow.
nerd out. I like chat. I like to nerd out about like how accurate sword fighting is in movies. And I know it's lame. It's a very lame thing to even bring up. This is like it's a movie. Who gives a shit?
This dude would have been you
But
if you
it's
decided to
just fun.
go into
Sometimes it's fun to like sit and like tear something apart. Sometimes it's just
or
fun.
yeah, in an analytical fashion, like just
Yeah.
like this doesn't make any sense because of these reasons.
Yeah, it's like for the same. I do the same thing about like who cares? Like when they make dramatic films about artists, like who cares how they depict how they painted? It's drama. Like we're trying to like sensationalize their lives and make it a motion picture that people are going to be emotional about.
Yeah, but
But the
it's really
thing,
bad though,
but they
Tyler.
always it's always the same thing. It's always like if this was a documentary about Ray as a painter, right now he'd be like furiously scrubbing paint all over the canvas,
Yep,
just like
and looking off, looking beyond the canvas at something he can't see.
just like a madman, like possessed by a demon, painting, and then all of a sudden this really beautiful technical architectural painting would come out of the back end. They always do that, and I hate that. But I get it. It's dramatic effect. Whatever. But the same with swords. I guess that's my whole point of this whole rant is
That's true.
sword
Okay,
sword fighting's the same. Like it's
I like being
theatrical.
put on the
If
same level as a swordsmith. Yeah, I like
if
it,
you
or sword master, or whatever.
right, it's if you had real fights in a movie, and there are a few movies that did it really well actually. The Duelist, for example, Ridley Scott's movie. Most of the time it's actually kind of boring because the real sword fights are over really fast. They just happen, and it's not this clang 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 like back and forth forever combat. It's actually like a really quick. There's some samurai movies that do it really well where it's just like boom, you're done. The whoever was the slower one died right away. Yeah. I Princess Bride, Cranston snored. Princess Bride's one of my favorite movies of all time. Might be my favorite movie of all time. Every other movie might be a distant second.
Princess
To that
Bride
film.
is the example of people hyping up a movie so much
Yeah.
that
Here
I
we go.
went in
Here we go.
expecting a masterpiece.
It's great, but the fight scene, the
And
sword fighting in it, atrocious. Atrocious
Tyler,
sword fighting.
Tyler, you should have led with Princess Bride and finished with Legend, and instead you went the other way because you were that confident.
No, I
'Cause
learned
remember I
that was a
asked you?
lesson, dude. That was a lesson. I learned my lesson. I have never since that day. I've never recommended The Princess Bride to anybody. To me, it's just like if you didn't see it when you were younger and grow up with it, don't watch it. Don't even watch it. It's not even worth
No,
watching.
it's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. I remember you were like, no, dude,
Yeah,
just watch.
it was a huge mistake. You should never sell a
Gotta,
movie like that, especially if
yeah.
you're unaware that it is a major nostalgic film for you. Never sell it to somebody like it's the greatest movie ever.
Isn't that dangerous? It's like I'm afraid to even go back to watch like what's this the Fred Savage one with the monsters?
Oh yeah, the Little Monsters. I love that movie.
Little
And yeah,
Monsters.
if I were to like, I actually saw it recently and I still love it. But it's pure nostalgia factor, man. It's not like it's a good
Yeah.
movie. But maybe it is. Maybe it is.
But
a
it
good
is a
movie.
good movie. It is a great movie.
Sorry,
I had like my first
I'm rambling
existential
again.
crisis. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. We're both tired. Let's see. The weird quick draw samurai duel from the Kurosawa movie, super quick but also super dramatic at the same time. Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I mean Kurosawa did it the best. He's a true master. And it's fun. Like we were talking earlier, Ray and I were talking about like the Wachowskis kind of using the influences of movies. There are so many directors that borrowed from Kurosawa because he was relatively unknown to the West for a long time, unless you were like a hardcore filmmaker. So
Right.
there's so
it
many
didn't look
people
like a
that
trope,
borrowed.
like
Yeah, there's so many people that borrowed from him, and he was just
it was
one of
cool.
the
It was
absolute
but it
best.
was like you were in the know, right? If you kind of like made homages to him because it was out of respect too, and like also like you were like, yeah, like the
Yeah,
same way people use heavy metal, like
right.
in the U.S.
There's it. Like you'll even see it now, man. People use Kurosawa stuff. Like did you see Dunkirk with
Yeah,
the Christopher
Yes.
Nolan movie. He does a
Yeah.
Kurosawa shot in it. There's Kurosawa did some really great shots that were all like specifically based on movement when it comes to cinematography, whereas everything in the scene is still, and then a single character will move. So like you'll have a whole room full of, like Kurosawa did a few shots in his like non-samurai films. He's done it in a few of his samurai films too, but he'll do like a full shot of a whole bunch of people in a room with all their heads turned away, like a classroom. All their heads are turned away, and then one student in the room will turn to the camera, and that like effect is really intense. And Nolan did it. He just aped it perfectly in Dunkirk, where he has all the soldiers on the pier and they all have their helmets turned away from the camera, and then you hear the airplane in the background, and then one of the soldiers turns to the camera, and then so the what Kurosawa was doing with that suggestion is you have the first character turn, and he did it in his films all the time. He would have that first character turn, and then you have that stark contrast of one face versus a whole bunch of darkness, because you're just looking at the backs of people's heads, so there's no faces to see. And then everyone turns, so that like really intense moment of like one bit of motion and then all of this flurry of motion. And Nolan does that directly, like it's a direct cinematography reference to Kurosawa, because he has that one soldier turn to hear the airplane, and then everybody turns to see the airplane.
Right. Laura Dormo saying cough cough George Lucas. Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean that's
yeah.
For me, like Lucas is a great example of, like, without getting into like whether you think he's a good filmmaker or not, he's got two, well, maybe even three, like major movies for me that I think are great, like capitalizing on his own nostalgia and aping previous content, right? So American Graffiti is sort of like aping the old Hot Rod movies and the Cars stuff, from his childhood. But more importantly, Star Wars is aping Flash Gordon, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is aping all of the pulpy adventure stories from his childhood, and they all do it in a perfect way. Like
Right.
If he did anything well, he did those three movies really well.
But again, that's when they were like young, and like it would have been appreciated by the people that were watching it. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Like they're making movies for their peers.
it's the context, right? Like it
Yeah.
would have been for him, and the people around him that were his peers would have been like, "Oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing." I don't know. What are we talking about?
I don't know. Okay, here's a follow-up question for that. Do you think Star Wars should have stayed in the 80s?
Or like they shouldn't have made
Just-
any more Star Wars, like after Jedi.
Because if we're talking about like being of the time and everything like that.
I think here's my view on it, and it's always like, oh, this is how they should have done it, and fucking
You think that's a lame question? Because I actually think I've never.
No, I
I've
don't.
never-
I don't think it's a lame
patted myself
question.
on the okay. Because I'm like, I think this is a really. I've never asked myself this question.
This is what I think. I think that if you're gonna make late sequels or prequels on films that came out decades earlier, you should try to do the same thing that they were achieving with the first films. So if Star Wars is an attempt to reinterpret Flash Gordon, if you're going to make it 20 years after that, maybe you should try to reinterpret a different something else, instead of just try to reinvent the wheel in that way, even though it's like you're never going to catch lightning in a bottle like that, but at least try to. It's like the one case you could make for Temple of Doom, that it was like they were at least trying something different. It wasn't like let's just remake Raiders. They were like, let's try something weird. Let's do something really weird. Hey, I like it. I just don't think it's the best of them. But
No.
all right,
no.
I got a question in here. Monkey
Oh,
House.
okay, sorry.
Hey, Monkey House is like, not to change the subject. It's okay. We can change the subject. We've been ranting for an hour now.
How dare you?
But
How dare you?
Can you talk at all about the Lord of the Rings piece, Wizards of the Coast of it? Not really. I mean, I can talk in generalities. I can't really talk about like specifics. Monkey House is curious about the process of creating the Lord of the Rings art that isn't directly copying. Oh yeah. I don't want to get into like our design choices when it comes to like not copying the movies. First of all, we weren't allowed to because we were working with the Tolkien estate, so we couldn't copy the movies or any other versions of it, like any of the video games. So we had to be pretty unique. But I don't know. I think it'd be better for me to like talk about probably like the piece in general will probably be better.
Or listen, if you're like a little concerned.
Yeah, I think I'll stay off of it. The only reason I posted
hold off until the
this is what I'll say. This is what I'll say
right?
about it. It only got teased, right? They just showed it for a second as an announcement that the set was happening. Everyone knew the set was already happening, but it was the first art they've shown for the set. And because they just kind of showed it in a quick way and they didn't really zoom in on it or anything like that or show any of the major details, because some of the major details in that piece, if you zoom way in, are going to start giving away the choices that we made when we designed this world. So I don't want to dig into it too much because it was only like a light shot of the image, but not very detailed at all. I didn't want to. I don't want to get into it. Let's leave it that.
Once the whole set comes out, would you be okay talking about it?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think Nick DeLuca has asked like 10 times about how to get D&D work. Sorry, I keep missing that. So if someone's trying to get D&D work, would be the best way to approach it. Yeah. Sorry. I keep seeing it, and we were fired up talking about movies, and I didn't get a chance. I'll take the blame. I should keep painting, but I'm like looking at the chat now. So there's a couple ways. There's an art drop that's specifically for Wizards, and they often check it, but sometimes it's hard, so it can be a black hole. A better way would be to try and find those particular art directors that work there on social media and get your work in front of them there. A really great way is to, now that conventions are kind of coming back, is to get in front of them in person but here's the catch. Getting in front of them in person is great, but you want to have a very targeted portfolio. So you want to bring in a portfolio that looks like D&D work instead of just all the work you've ever done. I think we've talked about this a bit on the stream about like targeting your work.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the problem is like, the past couple of years, it's been hard to get in front of art directors, extremely hard in person, but that like FaceTime is really, really good way to do it. But yeah, try and see if you can find some, look through the books, see if you can find their names. And if you want to email me, we can chat more about that process. But if you can find their names, it can get you, the step up to like kind of see if they're on like Twitter or Instagram, and then that way you can get your work in front of them in that vein. But like, I always try to avoid like direct messaging people in that situation, because I don't know how art directors really enjoy getting portfolios spammed into their social media, because most people are using social media.
Right?
What's that?
A little intrusive, it might come off as. Like,
yeah, I think so. But first step, use the art drop that they have. I wish I had it on me to post in, but I will. I don't actually remember the email. I'll find out the email, and hopefully next week I'll be able to drop it into the chat. But they have an art drop that they check. All right, let me see what other questions we got from Wolvie Chops. Hey, Noah. Lord of the Rings question follow-up, talking about the process of compiling all the individual images. Yeah, okay, I'm happy to talk about that part. that piece was a beast, an absolute beast. And if you saw it on my social media, I made a little post about it. It, Ray, I don't think I've ever done anything like that in my life, and I don't know if I'll ever do anything
I don't
like
think
that
so.
again.
I don't think so. That shaved off a couple of years
Oh yeah.
of your life clock there.
Do you remember when you and I were talking with Ralph about how to make like huge battle scene images? We were talking with Ralph
Yeah.
Horsley.
Yeah.
When I posted that, he messaged me, or he made a comment or something in my on my Facebook post about remembering that conversation that he had with you and I
You're kidding. You're
about how to
kidding
make
me.
huge battle scenes. And so I was like, dude, I leaned into that conversation we had with you so hard because I had I had no idea where to start. So yeah, so for folks who aren't aware of it, I made this piece for the Lord of the Rings set. And what Wolvie Chops is asking here is how I compiled it all together. So the piece is a giant image, and it is basically a big, huge battle scene, but it has to exist on 18 separate magic cards, and it's a full frame art magic cards. But when you look at magic cards, the top part, like the top, I'd say half of the card is art. And so I had to frame the battle scene so that all the subjects of each of the 18 cards was in that top half if you split it all up into 18 cards. So the whole idea is if you get all 18 cards, you can put them all together and you see this whole giant battle scene image. But if you only have one of the cards, it stands alone as its own card and makes sense as a card. Super crazy. It really
I don't
reminds
think
me.
the old master's had issues like this.
Yeah, it's one of those like, I don't know, it's one of those like kind of super fun illustration jobs where you have to really figure out how to make something fit the format
And I haven't seen that
that
done
they
since
needed
like
to.
the Brothers Hildebrandt.
Well, yeah, it reminded me of the Hildebrandt pieces, and then when I was a kid, I had these GI Joe puzzles that if you had like by themselves, they were crazy. These huge battle scenes, but if you had four of the puzzles, they all puzzled together, right?
No way.
You could take the edges off of all of them, and then they would all four of them would make one big giant puzzle.
Wow.
But it's like, okay, so they made four battle scenes that you could seam together in the edge. I had to make 18 illustrations that would seam together into one illustration. That was really tough. How I did it, though, I guess, I haven't really even mentioned how it was done. I'm just saying it was hard, which it was. I just kind of I started by putting up the frames. So
That's
I
what
had
Ralph had told us too, right? I mean,
right
you go
to
ahead. Sorry, I don't mean to cover.
no, but
But
yeah,
you,
I mean it is right. Like he said to just lay out the scene, which is essentially what Ralph said. So I had to obviously hit all these targets, and they gave me a little bit of freedom in that I was able to pick what was going to be within each frame. So I laid out the frames as like an overlay in Photoshop. So I had all the art frames, and I just put them together as this one big giant overlay of 18 pieces. And then in the card frame art windows, I started figuring out like what I wanted where. And since it's a battle scene, I had to be like, okay, I'm gonna have to like fisheye this lens. It's gonna have to be crazy. Like the horizon's gonna have to be like on the top cards, and then we're kind of looking down on the two lower rows of all these people. And so I started just kind of jamming in characters along the bottom because I figured they're going to be closest to the camera. And I lined them up the way I wanted. So yeah, it was a lot of that, like of finding the right spaces to put the characters. And then man, I'm this is so weird. Hopefully I don't have interviews about this because my brain was so broken during this process. I don't even remember what I did. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm lost in the
yeah,
weeds on
yeah.
this. I don't really know.
I remember that was the big thing that Ralph had told us that I took away from it. I mean, I totally forgot about that we had this conversation with him because he had so many freaking crazy multiple figured scenes. and we had to find out like what how do you even just, and his whole thing was like, yeah, you got to lay the thing out, don't worry about the detail, like, you just got to lay it all
Well,
out
and
and have like a design that flows, because if it doesn't, you're going to be wasting a lot of time, like, it's too much to do.
one of the big things I used that Ralph told me to use in that when we had that conversation so many years ago. God, that was like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Jesus.
what else did he say? I remember the
So
laying out
this is what
everything, and I'm just like,
the layout was big, but the biggest thing that
yeah.
actually resonated with me that I used quite a bit was he was like, "There's no way you can light them all from one angle and have it read."
Oh my god,
So
yeah.
so what I did was I used his thing where I had rim lighting here and there throughout the image, as if like big beams of light were coming through and hitting sections of the soldiers. And then sometimes they were just silhouettes, and then sometimes they were. So Ralph does that really well. I don't know if I did it as well as he does, but he's really good at, like, you'll have a crowd of guys that are just silhouettes and there's like smoke behind them, and then beyond that you'll have a crowd of guys that are all rim lit, so they all have like a light glow on the edge of their weapons and helmets and stuff. So I was using a lot of that. Like, I'm going to silhouette some
Dude.
guys here. I'm going to rim light a bunch of guys here, and it allowed
Awesome.
me to sort of create depth and separation between everything. It was madness, though. I worked on it for, I think, 5 months, and I was completely blind by the end of it. Like, we talk about going art blind to a piece, and
Oh my god.
I was blind, as blind as can be. I had no idea what I was working on. It was so hard to like zoom way out and see
Oh
it.
yeah.
Anyways, when I can show more of it, we can talk a lot more about it.
Yeah,
But
I
holy
wasn't gonna
cow!
say like, I was gonna follow it up with a question, but we would have
No, no,
put you in
no.
a
Follow it up with a question.
position.
Follow it up
No,
with a
no,
question.
because it's too specific about like, it's not specific, but it's not like, well, I'll tell you what the question is. I don't mind saying that. Like, I would have been like, and you have to hit, I'm assuming, certain points of narrative points.
Yeah, well,
But
yeah.
I'm not.
It was like a
I don't want. I
moment.
don't want. Yeah, yeah, I
Well,
don't
you
want.
can
Yeah,
see it in the way they revealed it. Like, it's a particular battle scene that if you looked at it for two
yeah,
seconds and you knew the Lord of the Rings, you would know what it was. But it was
right.
that we had to do that thing that, remember that huge mural that we've talked about a few times in at the cemetery museum in Glendale,
Yeah,
California.
Forest Lawn. Yeah, Forest Lawn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Forest Lawn one. That huge like it's like the it's like right before like Jesus is going to be crucified scene. But you can see like there's a bunch of moments in it that are out of order based on,
right,
if you know the gospel narrative. There's a bunch of moments in it that are completely out of order, and they're all there like happening at once, right? And then in the
right.
real story, according to the story, those weren't happening at the same time. So we kind of did some of that in this particular piece. Is like, well, there's a particular like amount of events that occur, but they don't all
Right.
happen at the same time. But we had to, in order to get everything into the same shot, we kind of had to like, oh, well, these characters will be here even though they weren't here at that same time according to the narrative.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Okay.
we're just
Yeah.
gonna like chop in a whole bunch of stuff so that
Uh,
it can possibly work.
you don't have to answer anything else. I don't want you getting in trouble or anything like that.
No, we're good. I mean, I won't. Yeah, I won't talk beyond that.
So I don't even have a
Anyways,
beard. Okay. If I had a beard, I would have said, "Come on,
yeah,
Tyler.
nobody will recognize you. I mean,
We need
this
it
is
for
actually
the.
the
We
perfect
need it.
time to do it.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Just push you for the exclusive content so we can get this reshared.
This is gonna be. I think this one's gonna end up being like this Roy painting's gonna be like the Dracula one, where I got like super
It's looking
lost in the
great.
weeds, and I
You,
came
you
back
feel like you're
next
getting
week.
lost in the weeds? I feel like it's
Yeah,
going
a
well.
little bit. I think I needed to pre-mix a lot of colors a little better, which I didn't do. But it happens. Whatever. Not every piece is gold, everybody. All right, so what do we got? We got more questions in the chat. Let's see. Another general question from Monkey House. Sorry if we missed some stuff. This is going by quick. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
it
activity
just
in the
not.
chat.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. I've just been negating the chat. I apologize. I'm usually
oh,
better
okay.
about
This
this.
is great. And I was going to chat with a friend of mine Nicole on this. I didn't get a chance to, and I don't know if I'll be able to. She was going to hold like a chat, but it's about AI art. So, what are our thoughts on AI art bots?
Nicole York, or
Yeah,
Yorkie. Yeah,
yeah. I was going to chat
great,
with her
great
on like a
photographer.
live chat, but I had to reschedule. But I mean, let's talk about it here. What do you think about all this AI, like Midsummer, or what is it, Midsummer, Midjourney, and all these AI art bots? How do you feel about this?
Who me?
Yeah, man. What do you think?
Uh, well, yeah, like I think we had talked about this also last week when I was when I talked about the VR project I'm working on.
Yeah. Oh, what do you? I
You know,
mean,
I met a couple of AR artists, you know, in this VR project I'm working on, um, and they asked me the same question. Like, I was like, they, it doesn't bother me at all. I think it's great. I think it's a great way to visualize, you know, ideas, and it's gonna change things for sure.
yeah, for
But
sure.
I don't think it's gonna get rid of like. I'm sure everyone thought like the end of this type, you know, painting was nigh when digital art came around. Actually, I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
That
they
people
thought
are like,
like, oh, people are just gonna
yeah,
press a bunch of buttons. It's over.
right, we're good. I mean, it's impressive, for sure, what can be done. But it all has a look to it, and you know, I mean, it'll start. And people say like, oh, you know, they could just upgrade the AI on it. Sure, you know, I think it's great. It's not going to replace artists, you know, and it's going to really emphasize the who has the good ideas, the good visual ideas, and people who have the best visual ideas usually are the people that can draw and paint the best because they know how to visually explain something, and that comes from, you know, training your eye and hand. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I think I agree.
so
I
I'm
think
not
it's cool. I think there's a lot of cool stuff going on. I do. I have seen some people asking like, how do I program in like a style so that my AI art generations have a particular style? And that's kind of funny to me because it's like people who have style,
good.
like people who have a particular
Yeah,
style, like it took them
good.
years of
I
working on it to figure it out.
have fun, AI bot. Like AI can't even fix like the fact that I still get spam mail, and the AI there's AI that can't even like where's the if it were that advanced, then where's the AI that can prevent Amazon from sending me emails offering things that I already bought literally the day after I bought it. You know what I mean? Like
Okay, but here's okay.
it's
So this is a good point though that you're making here. It's like yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like it's crap, but every bit of technology we've ever had in the past was really shitty at the beginning. So
for
we're
sure.
like we're in sci-fi territory here, but there's no way that these machines will not eventually become way better artists than any artist that ever lived. There's that they
But
just will, right?
but
Like
what is a
they
way
will
better
have to be.
artist though?
Well, I
But
mean,
what constitutes
I
to
know
be a
it's
better artist?
subjective, right? I know it's subjective.
Right, but I'm saying like a better at drawing, like stylization.
Yeah, I mean, whatever we can do, right?
I
They could
don't.
probably do better, right?
But it's a combination of our experiences. Like I still make the argument that like you know it's always going to be a step behind because it could only it's garbage in garbage out, right? I mean, so like it's only as good as the stuff that's going into it. So
Sure.
it's
Oh,
not
okay.
going to
Yeah.
take
Oh, I
it.
mean,
If anything,
I'm
artists are going
like
to take that and make the next leap with it.
I'm literally
And
talking
people
like
who
really sci-fi here, in that it's like a general like a general AI, like it is its own living person, like Data or something in
oh
Star Trek.
well, then it's its own artist, then, right? I
Right. It's
mean,
gonna be its
it's
own. It's gonna be its own amazing artist, right? It's gonna be super
yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, you and I would be dead by that point. So
But I'm just saying,
it's
it's
somebody
like
else's
that
problem.
will
Yeah,
occur, right? That there's no way that will not occur. It'll
sure.
have to occur
I mean, I
eventually.
don't know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it'll have to occur. It doesn't have to, but it can.
No, I guess yeah. I guess it's Murphy's law. It doesn't
Is it?
have to. Not Murphy's law.
It doesn't
Yeah,
have to.
Murphy's law.
I mean, people are gonna spend. Listen, there's gonna be a lot more awesome stuff that happens first before they come out with the AI ultimate art bot, right? Like
Yeah. You know,
that
like
can like the
fusion.
machine. I mean, give me, you know, yeah. It's just like no one's racing to, for like, they're
Right.
not like spending billions of dollars so that's, we can get something that can do like $100 jobs really well.
It's definitely the last
Like,
thing. I have seen a
you-
magazine already used it to make an editorial piece, and I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty good looking editorial piece." It's like, okay, there's already a place for this.
sure, it's in the okay. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say something really insensitive, but like, yeah, it's okay. I don't mind saying that. But like, look at that market. The
No,
magazine,
I get it. I
it's
get it.
not what it was 10 years ago, and so their budgets are, I'm sure the budgets aren't what it was like in the '60s.
No,
When
and
people were ready to buy like Maseratis and stuff like that. So like,
somebody made a hilarious joke that I thought was really great, at least in the context of our professions. Is sure, but you could have it do an editorial piece or a piece of art. You just have to have like a really clear art description, which is never something that we receive most of the time.
exactly, exactly. It's just in the execution. Like, so the people in the VR community that was interviewing me said like, aren't you worried? Like, would you be up for a bot to put in your work as a prompt? Like, would you be okay with that if they asked you for it? And I'd be like, would you be worried? And I would say I wouldn't be worried at all.
It's not going to
I
look
said,
like your
have
work.
fun. Have fun. It'll never look like me. It'll never look like me.
Yeah.
Because there's more than just colors, uh, and paint application. That that's just like the vehicle. It's you're missing the point if you think that that's all that art is, right? So like, you know, uh, yeah, but
I don't know. I
I
mean,
mean,
I've seen them.
I
I've
will charge
seen.
them. I will charge them a metric ton, because
I've
it's
just.
intellectual. It's my property too. So
Oh, 100%.
it-
Yeah. I mean,
they'll
that's the
they'll they'll
thing, right?
be they'll be wait get ready for the lawsuits too if that stuff starts coming out, and then artists can easily be like, listen, this clearly was in my prompt. There's already artists concerned about that. I've seen it on Twitter.
Yeah, I've seen a
Like,
Carla going at it.
yeah, and it's like if it's in my prompt, and it's my work, especially with fine art stuff, and you didn't ask permission, or I can make a case. It's game over. Like, no one's gonna want to use it because it's a legal liability.
It'll be an interesting legal landscape for sure. There's going to be so much
Yeah,
like, well, this is actually the AI is pulling paint strokes out of my paintings for this
yeah.
because it's montaging, right? It's not doing anything new. It's montaging
Oh,
images.
oh.
Um,
It looks like '70s like album art.
yeah,
A lot of it that with like a flash splash of Mobius in it, and that's pretty cool stuff. Like, it's got a, I don't know.
I've
It's
seen a
better
lot of
when
it.
it
It's all right. It's okay
John.
images.
The best type I've seen is John Foster's putting his own paintings in
That's the coolest application
and
for me.
remixing them. I thought
Yeah,
that's really cool because I'm like, yep, that's it. That's how you do it. That's how you push painting to the next level.
that's the coolest application to me. Is like you use it as a tool for abstract sketching, right? Like this may be what we talked about last time, but it's like it's like when you scribble on a page and then you find a composition out of that scribble, which is something
Yeah.
if you take any compositional classes in art school, that's something they'll have you do. Um, it's a great technique. It's a great way to find weird abstract compositions. And yeah, use the AI to do that. Like find really weird abstract compositions and paint really cool paintings because you had this tool that was able to do it for you. I
Right.
mean, it's not going to paint the painting for you, but it's going to give you a cool abstract shape to make a cool painting off of.
100%. I think it'll be a great visualization tool. I maybe I'm wrong, but I think
Yeah,
it's.
could be. Who
I
knows?
think I think I think the companies that don't need to pay for art won't, if they can get by with AI art, just like companies got by with stock art.
Yeah, of course, of course.
They're
You'll
never
see
going to
a ton of
change.
it.
And then there are always going to be companies that want to do something more and stand out from the crowd. So if everyone's using AI art, it's going to have like I saw it in the chat. Let's see. It's like, yeah, Cranston said, "Have you seen the cover of the new Dragonlance novel? It looks like an AI. It looks like an AI made. Like, it'll have a look, you know, beyond, like, I know Paradox said about broken wrists and nonsensical belts. Yeah, like they'll clean that up and make it anatomically correct. I mean, like I get it, you know. I mean, it's but I just think the idea is, you know, it's you just can't again. Yeah, like you were saying, the art prompt. I'm just
Well, I think it'll be a tool, right? Like it's like remember when Photoshop came out and like it wasn't good looking art. It was like
yeah,
this will no
it
one's ever going
wasn't.
to use that. It's always going to look digital. Everyone will know.
Well,
And
no, it was there was some people that it was considered cutting edge at the time. It
for
all
sure,
had a look,
it all had
and
a
it was
look.
like I can't believe
Yeah,
I can do this. Like this is unbelievable. It looks like shit today because it's just like oh my god, I could do that in 2 seconds. But it
and,
took
but
you know an artist a little bit of time to do that like back then. And I get that it gets better and better, but it never replaced it.
no, my point with
Yeah,
that bringing that up is that now people will paint in Photoshop, and you sometimes can't even tell that it's digital. Like you just,
right.
it's its own entity. It's become its own
I see
thing.
what you're saying.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, if
yeah,
this
yeah.
becomes if AI becomes a tool that people use, eventually it'll just be like, oh, they've become like the humans have become masters at wielding that tool, just like we've
Right,
become really good at wielding the digital tools that we have now that once were super clunky and look like crap.
right, right. Yeah. Sorry, I mean that was a great point. Thank God I didn't completely pancake it.
Yeah, phew, thank you.
Who
Dodged a
might?
bullet there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I
It's
don't
it's a
know. You know,
crazy it's a
like
crazy world. I don't really know where it's gonna go.
it's a wonderful time to be alive, man. You
Always,
know,
always.
I'm 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 really excited. I'm really excited. It just makes me want to get into 3D even more. So, like, I really got to get my ass in gear with that. Once this, I think that's there's just another. I think I think 3D art is already happening. That the foundation is being laid for it to be as appreciated, you know, as much as actual art, like physical artwork. And I think it'll be a point where it'll be its own thing.
Oh, I agree. I mean, some of the like, I often go back to the 3D stuff that Ralph Grassetti, is that right? Ralph Grassetti
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
did
The
for
Sony Santa Monica dude.
yeah for God of War. I'm like, this
My
is some of
God.
the best sculpting character work that I've ever seen done in 3D. It's just amazing stuff. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful work. And I think that yeah, that will eventually be hailed as some of the highest cutting edge art that there is.
Yeah, and it's happening. It's gonna happen. I don't know. I'm pretty confident it's gonna happen. Nick said, "What do you think D&D Beyond will have on third party RPG companies that worries me more about the AI art?" The cool thing about stuff like this
Well,
is
Wizards
that
owns D&D Beyond now, so I don't
oh,
know if I wouldn't worry about
uh,
it.
I guess I'm not speak. I am not a person in standing when it comes to properties in D&D, obviously, or any of that stuff. But I will say that like the computer made it digital art made it possible for you to be more in control of your own content, right? So like you before it took man hours like you know to shoot. Let's talk about movies, right? Let's parallel it with movies. To shoot,
Well,
you know,
we
movies
talk
if you
about
wanted
movies on
something
this.
like
You
yeah, I
sure?
know. Right? And like all this stuff. And it was like a huge overhead for it. Like you needed to be have money to do it or need to be have access to money because it was expensive, really expensive to do this. And you couldn't do it alone. And now you can.
Yeah,
Like think about it. Like people are shooting 4K on their phones. Is it better than the actual camera? No, but it's serviceable.
and
And
it's
they're
got
gonna and
tells, just like you were saying. It's got
right.
tells. Like you can tell a digital film to film.
Yeah.
If you got eyes, you can tell.
But at the end of the day, I think it's the content.
Right.
Right? It's the idea behind it. It's how it was visually communicated.
You know what
You know,
the first movie that like laid that out for me? Because I remember when digital was coming in, and it was like, oh, digital movies are gonna look like crap. It's a Michael Mann movie called Collateral. I don't know if you
oh yeah, I
remember
heard
that.
about that one.
Fully digitally
Yeah, I
shot,
remember.
fully digitally
It
shot,
was. Oh,
and it was so good. And it was like for me, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, digital movies are gonna be great. Movies that are shot digitally are gonna be amazing.
we could just do more. Is what I'm saying. It's like
Right.
what was possible then. Like, can you imagine what Star Wars would have looked like if it had today's computers?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, the advancement in technology is nuts.
I mean, look at the execution in the like Rise of Skywalker. Like you had 1 trillion ships in the last battle. It was comical and ridiculous and funny,
Yeah,
not in a cool way,
I
but
guess yeah. This begs the question: is
it
like
was possible.
more is it less is more or more is less? You know?
But people are going to be able to do that. I guess is my point. And they could. It's now the buy-in is not as high, and now you're going to get people who don't have the means to pull something off, or don't have the connections to be in the industry. Like you're going to be your own. You'll be your own entity more so. So like, I think there'll be a big creative boom, just like you know there was in independent filmmaking and
Yeah,
like look at the video game atmosphere now. Like the more stuff that keeps coming out, like it's over the top. Like before, like if we talk about game engines and stuff, like everyone, they were always custom built and they were built from the ground up for every single game.
yeah.
So and then
Good
they all of
point.
a sudden started to create their own proprietary engines, right? So they were using it across multiple games, and now all of a sudden, you know, companies like id Software and Unreal were then licensing their engines out, and then people were building on that. Now look at this, Unreal Engine 5 is freaking free to use, and you could use that. I mean, if it's a game and it's there's always stipulations about the cut that Epic Games get, and rightly so because it's their engine. But like now, I essentially a couple of us can get together and make our own video game, and it can look pretty damn good.
Isn't that
It'll
cool
have
though?
tells that, right? It's awesome. It'll
It's
have
like
tells.
yeah, it's like painting in acrylics or oils. Like the end, it's like a video game, right? But the medium is the engine. That's super cool. I think that's such a cool thing.
Yeah. So I love it. I think it's awesome. Let's see. Rye Forel. Uh, hey, Rye. Hi, just popped in terms of AI art. I think its usability is still in question. Some images David Levy generated are beautiful, but they have what it seems to be an artist's signature in the bottom. Whereas the AI got the idea from is obvious and disturbing. Yeah, well, that's where like the litigation stuff that
Yeah.
we were kind of
Well,
talking about. Like, there will be lots of. I think it's in danger of being. It's a litigious nightmare. You know.
yeah, and the
Um.
disturbing. It is disturbing too that a
Yeah.
algorithm is able to do it. That's disturbing.
Right. Right. Uh. Fate said, "How do you come up with the underdrawing for the portrait you're working on, Tyler?"
Oh, I just had a photo from the movie and I projected that down to put my drawing in. I think that's pretty much what I've done with all these
Did you do it in
portraits.
graphite?
Yeah, so I did the drawing in graphite, and then I spray fixed that, and then I sealed that in with matte medium, and then I stained it with like acrylic, so you can see this sort of like bluish stain all over the canvas. That's like an acrylic blue stain, so that I could get the whites out of it. I didn't get it far enough. I should have made it a bit darker. I'm kind of fighting the brightness of the canvas this whole time.
Yeah, it's hard. That's hard. My stain, yeah.
But yeah, I just went right off of the frame from the movie, so I didn't do anything special there. I'm just trying to get the colors down and everything. Go ahead, Ray. Sorry.
No, no. That question was for you. Yeah, so I'm it's really interesting. I don't want to be left behind. That's the one thing I don't want to. So it's like
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I
No one
want to see
does.
how it applies to me and how I can further it, further my own career with it. And
Yeah, I
I don't
remember.
want to do artwork
Like, remember when we were in art
that
school? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, well, I don't want to do artwork. I got to be careful about like where I work in and like and always be like I don't know, have many irons in the pot basically, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's good to know the state of the industry.
Yeah.
I think that what I was going to bring up was like when we were in art school, and it was like we are doing all of this traditional stuff, and that we had. I don't know if you were in the same class with me, but I had the opportunity to take this class with Robert Revels, and I was like, okay,
I
this
did
is
not
digital
take that class,
painting.
yeah.
I want to figure this out. Like, what is digital painting? And so I took a whole class that was all about like Photoshop and Corel Painter, and that was huge for me because I was like, oh, okay, so I can make stuff this way. I didn't embrace it right away, but I did a lot of work in oils and stuff. But there was like, oh, this is a tool I can use. I just don't understand it yet. I don't have enough practice
Right.
with it yet,
Exactly.
and I
Exactly.
needed to get the practice in. And it took a long time. I think I did a lot of jobs. Like when I decided, hey, I'm going to do a few D&D jobs that are entirely digital. And I even warned the art director. I was like, oh, this is going to be digital. It's going to look different. They were like, no, go for it. But those weren't good. I don't think they were good. But eventually they got better. And the thing I loved was like, oh, I don't have to clean up anything. I can just paint, and I can leave the painting when I need to. Go
Right.
off and
And
do
you could just keep
something.
working on it too. Like really push your people say like, well, you can keep working on it until infinity and that's where it like kind of gets overworked for sure, but like also you can really take your time and understand and really sculpt up forms like that you could really increase it learn how to increase the fidelity of your own artwork.
Yeah.
I think digital painting really taught me that. It 100% taught me how to become a better traditional painter.
Right. And it lets you go to that distance that you wouldn't go. You wouldn't necessarily, like, if you're working on a piece, you're like, how much fidelity do I want to paint into this? Do I want to spend
Right.
like this many more hours painting all this stuff into it? Digital, you can like kind of cheat that out. Not really cheat it, but like you can simulate it out, I guess, and is a better way to put it.
Yeah,
To a
because
point
you're
where you're like,
constantly
oh, okay, I can go this far.
because you like I used to always tell my students like you have the stuff dries immediately and you have unlimited art supplies.
Yeah, yeah,
It's digital for you. Like it's the little things what you don't have to worry about in digital painting really saves you a bunch of time.
right.
Um,
It's almost like you're unshackled by the constraints of a medium because you
right.
can do anything you want. You can make it look like a medium if you want. You can make it look like oil paints. You can
But
do whatever you want.
that we're coming from that tradition though. So we know what we're looking for. Like we all have like an idea what we're you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I remember when I was learning I switched over to painting digital, it allowed me to just really get into understanding how to paint form up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just think the constraints of traditional painting, like you said, like it just yeah, like how much time am I going to spend on this? But also it was like I've never developed a form that long because I've never had the time to do it. But now that I'm saving time by painting digitally, I'm able to actually put that time in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Like
No,
work
totally.
up a piece, you know?
There's a. I mean, just think of all the different constraints that you have if you wanted to really work up a piece. Like, you'd say you're working in watercolors. Look at the constraints are, I got to let this dry and then I got to work back in. Um, and that's quick with watercolor. But for
Right.
oils, like the constraint is, well, I really got to let this dry before I can paint back in. Um, and that could take ages. That just lengthens all of it. Everything's lengthened. Like if you want to,
And with watercolors, Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, well, watercolors. If you lose the white of the paper, you're screwed
Yeah.
unless you go opaque. And with digital, you don't have to worry. You don't have to ever worry about that
Right.
ever.
Yeah, because you can do it all in layers, right? You
Right.
pretend like you're watercoloring, doing watercolor art, but you're doing it in layers, so you can preserve your whites as long as you want forever. There's just so many forgiving advantages to it, and iteration qualities are huge.
Yeah. It's really akin to. Yeah, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. It's funny. I mean, I started painting here and there digitally on stream, but when I'm usually traditional. And Tyler, you paint more digitally on stream than I do, 100%. You know, but
Yeah, I
like
want to do
in
some
the
more.
illustration isolation, which is another stream, great stream at the every Thursdays at I think it's at 7 o'clock p.m. Uh, Eastern Standard Time. Uh, it's free. It's a great live event. They provide you with reference. Everyone draws from the same reference, and they have like 20-minute poses. It's great. Steam night. I'm always I'm on there, a good, fairly consistently. Not as much during the summer because I've just been so busy. But I always work digitally on that stream,
Right.
and so people were shocked when I was working traditionally. I'm like, well, you obviously haven't visited Livebrush because I'm the traditional guy on Livebrush.
No, yeah, I mean
But
it's a good
that's the thing
format,
about
right?
this
Change
AI
it up.
art, or like what'd you say?
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, I was gonna say that's the thing about this AI art, or just like 3D being as accessible as it is now. Like, it's never been this more accessible than ever before. Like, I feel like that's like it's a tool I really need to understand because it's gonna help me visualize in a whole nother way that I never thought possible. The same way digital painting did.
Yeah, it's like you've seen all the 3D stuff that John Foster's doing, where he does his own sculptures and makes his own reference. That's the gem of it to me. You know, stuff like Chase Stone's doing, where he's building his entire image out in 3D and putting the camera where he wants to frame it. Like that's awesome.
Right.
Like that's like James Gurney stuff, but with 3D, which means you can
Because
do
then
way more lighting,
there's no excuses. You could do anything
anything you
that
want.
your imagination, wants it to any idea. And think about that, like the iteration process of that. Like, you wouldn't have been able, like, I've worked in 3D, messing around. I used it for a couple of projects that I was working on, and I was like, just in that limited time, I was like, I would have never, the idea that I came up with, I would have never have thought about.
Yeah.
Like, it just wouldn't have been possible. Like, I just would have never thought about it. Just would have never been able to visualize it. But I could totally visualize it there.
Well, and some of the
You know,
framing you can pull off. Like if you get all your
right.
assets in the right place, and then it's like, oh wait a sec, that's a way cooler composition. Um,
Exactly.
because you had the physical. I mean, it's not physical, but it looks, it's like physical. But you had that stuff available to you.
So I think AI art's going to do that, and in that same way.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I agree. I think potential's huge.
Super Nintendo 3 said between watercolor, acrylic, or oil, is either medium easier to start with? I don't know how you feel about it, Tyler, but I think pure watercolor, is the hardest medium.
It is
It's the
super
most
hard.
unforgiving. So,
I
if
mean, it's
anything,
tantamount to fresco and its unforgivingness, right? It's so
yeah,
bad.
yeah, it's like right once you lose the surface, which is like once you get too dark, you have to either switch up mediums or uh, you know alter the surface or just start over.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't preserve it, it's all about planning. Watercolor is all about planning,
Yeah,
and it's completely unforgiving. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, we're biased, I guess, but acrylic and oils are I think the best to start with because they're very
yeah,
forgiving.
very very forgiving. Yeah,
Yeah, if you want to go into watercolor, whew, good luck to you.
and there's the effects in watercolor that you can get that other mediums you'd really, really, really struggle or almost impossible to get.
Right.
Because it's just a transparency that the watercolors have that just you would really need specialized versions of oils, for sure, and of acrylics to even think about it. You'd have to kind of hack the oils and acrylics to make it look like that.
Which is what I love about watercolor. And
Right.
I don't use it, but man, you can get some stuff out of it that is just so cool. Like when I see whole giant, like there's some artists I follow on Instagram that do just incredible portraits in watercolor, and it's like black magic to me. I have no idea how they're doing it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I love it. I love that stuff. More power to them. It's so good. Sorry, I'm mixing up a big
What
thing here before
what
we're
would I
almost out of
start
time.
with? Jeez. Yeah, we got a 9-minute warning.
Oh, what would you start with? Like if you had to say you're a student, I think I'd start them with acrylic.
Probably, just especially with like it's an easier setup
Yeah, it's the setup, right?
and
The gate to entry
mm,
with the oils is really big because of the cleanup.
yeah. It's a better medium. I think if you have the space, and the cleanup, it's almost a better medium to start off with, though,
Oil?
because yeah, because I think the drying time. I think with acrylics, the color shift, the value shift is frustrating unless you get specialized like acrylics
Yeah.
and oils. Like what you see is what you get, you know, and then until it dries, and then you can do things to get back to it. Um,
Yeah, it's just it's the I mean, yeah, you're right. It's just the cleanup, you know. It's like if you
yeah, the cleanup
like
is ridiculous. Yeah.
the reason I didn't get it in high school was because my high school art teacher knew that oils were, most of the time you need to have solvents in there. They were just super messy. All that stuff is why he had us work acrylic because it was just too difficult for like a art school teacher to deal with, or I mean a
Oh
grade like
yeah,
a high school teacher to deal with.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I feel this way with like sword fighting because I do sword fighting. I'm like everyone should start with a steel sword, but it's dangerous and difficult to wrap your head around at first. But yeah, I think I agree. Like in an
Well,
ideal world, everyone should start with oils, but there are pitfalls to that to starting with oils.
I want Spanish steel from Toledo.
Toledo.
That's
Oh yeah,
gotta be
that's
my
good
first
stuff.
first sword.
Toledo.
Oh God. Let's see. Gibbs sent us, and I'm starting with acrylics. I'm enjoying a lot. Can't wait to get my hands on oil someday. Yeah, you know, it's good stuff. And yeah, the thing is, watercolor is the most accessible one medium. It's cheaper, and I think it's more beneficial. That's why many people start with it. Yeah, it's like watercolor. You just sort of start. I wouldn't agree that it's cheaper. You can get cheap watercolor that's really awful. That actually doesn't like the pans that don't actually emulate watercolor.
Yeah, and
Does that make sense?
you can
Like
get really cheap
you
oils and
get you
acrylics
get
too.
really cheap oils though. Well, how much money you have in your pocket, right?
Yeah.
Uh, like you can
Winsor
get like
Newton,
64
those Academy of Winsor Newtons, they're like super cheap.
or even like no, like I'm talking about the ones in Walmart that you should
Oh yeah.
or like discount stores like, Reeves, like 64 oils, like 64 oil, tubes of paint for $3. It's not but yes, yeah, yeah. I agree that it's kind of like really, really it's enticing because like with watercolor you could just all you need is water.
Yeah,
And
that's
acrylics
the
is the same way with you have pans and you can layer things and you can get a look for it too. But if you wanted to do something really layered and understand effects, I mean it's controlling chaos, like it really takes a next level of mastery, for sure. But yeah, I definitely agree. It's very accessible in that sense.
Did you take
That's
that?
why people.
Were you in that watercolor class with me with Stephen Player, Dave Dibble? Like Bryce
No,
and Eric were in
no,
it, maybe.
no. I took quick studies instead
Oh, okay. That
because
was a
I didn't want to paint in watercolor.
yeah.
Even though they, I didn't. Even though Stephen Player is an incredible watercolorist,
I learned a lot. I like about the potential of watercolor in that class.
Yeah,
That was super fun. Like the techniques of layering. Like if you want any green tones in someone's skin, like you just paint all the shadows in green first, and then you can
and
layer
then
over
keep
that. Like
layering
that's
it.
just fun. That's
Right.
cool stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, watercolor medium is cheaper because you can let it dry on the palette and reactivate. Yeah, yeah. I mean, in that sense, yeah. I mean, acrylics you could do the same thing. You just need to put it on a wet paper towel and put it in some Tupperware, or airtight seal, and you'll be good to go. These acrylics, by the way, I just want to point out the acrylics I'm using right now are the same exact acrylics that I was using a painting ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did the same acrylics.
Yeah,
They
because you
haven't
had them
dried
in
out
your
yet.
wet palette.
Yeah, and I put them on wet paper towel, basically. You know.
Yeah, I like that doing that too. And
Yeah,
I mean,
and I have
with
acrylics here
oils,
that
like
have been.
you make your pile big enough with oil, and you can cut into that for eternity.
Yeah, you could put if you put enough clove oil in it, that thing will last forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Nick
That's what I'm
Nick
doing right
Nick
now.
Nick DeLuca knows what I'm talking about. So you could stretch things, there are things, yeah. But I agree about the watercolor. Like I get it. I get why people use it for sure. Um, but we were asked what would we start out with, and it's not a good medium to start learning with, in my opinion. If you wanted to use if you wanted to really get into the nitty gritty of nuance of understanding form, uh, I don't think watercolors to play. I think you could do like wash drawings. Those are really interesting to start out with, like individual concepts to understand those concepts for sure. But like truly layered things, like I want you to do a study of a skull. Like I would not do that in watercolor. I wouldn't recommend doing it in watercolor because you'd be fighting the medium the whole time.
Well, and I think the
Uh,
worst part is the watercolor's going to like you're sure like you could start out with it, right? And you'd learn a lot about watercolor, but it's not going to help you go to acrylic or oil painting because
right.
it's so different. It's like gouache would be better because then you could at least have some understanding of like oils
Right.
and acrylic.
Now
But
gouache. Yeah.
you can barely use anything that you've learned.
Yeah.
Like maybe like
Yeah.
working transparently, you can use some of that in oils and acrylic, but man, it's just not the same. It's so different.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. Someone's was it Gibbs Santos said unless you're Paul Bonner. Yeah, and like so there are people that hack watercolor to make it look like this
Yeah, he's
temper.
using gouache
You
too,
know?
though, and so it's
Yeah. It's a lot of dry brushing and stuff. Gouache, now gouache is a medium I think I would. It's a frustrating medium to use at first, but it's really good about like if you can understand its shortcomings, you could really learn how to. It's a great medium to prepare yourself for oil paint.
yeah, and I like
'Cause
using it
it was the
for plein air stuff. It's really great for that because you can just bring watercolor and use white gouache,
and you're good to go.
and you're good to go.
Yeah. But
Oh, well, we're at
on that
look
note,
at the time, dude. Look at the time.
on that note, dude, that's looking great. Um. So yeah, that's all the time we have for today. Tyler, so what are you going to be doing next week, and who are you?
I
Well,
am
let's first start out what you're going to be working on. Are you going to continue working on this thing?
maybe we'll see. Yeah, I think I will.
You
If
gotta
it's
finish
dry,
it.
if it dries in time, yeah, I'll probably keep working on it.
Okay.
I doubt I'll have any time to work on it in between now and then, but maybe.
It's looking
So
awesome.
yeah, I'll
It's looking
keep
awesome.
plugging away at it. It's starting. It was like in that like super ugly phase for a minute, and I was like, I hate this thing. It's dead, but it's starting to come back together for me. So yeah, I'll be working
Awesome.
on this.
And I'll be. I think I'm done with this underpainting.
Nice.
Yeah. side note, Wilby Chops. I have an answer for that question, but we're out of time. So sorry, I missed it. I just saw it. Um, so I'm done with this underpainting. I'm gonna go into oils next week on this. So should be a lot of fun. So
Nice.
but I think it's looking pretty good. It's exactly
Yeah,
where
dude.
I want it right now. So
Yeah, it's looking great.
um,
You should keep going.
yeah. But who are you, sir?
Yeah. So I have been and always will be your friend. Oh, sorry, that was Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan. I'm I'm Tyler Jacobson, and always have been, always will be. And you can catch me at tylerjacobsonart.com, as well as my Instagram, Tyler Jacobson Art, at Tyler Jacobson Art. Anyways, and how about you? Who have you been? Who are you?
I am, and maybe next week I might not be. Beardless Ray Bonilla. You can find my work at raymondbonilla.com and on Instagram at Ray Bonilla Painter. Um, yeah, so awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I just want to side note I think it's like April 26th. This weekend is the last weekend to sign up for my class at Smart School and mentorship at Smart School, Smarter Art School. Link is in if you visit my Instagram page, you'll see it there, and also link is in the MooBot. It popped up a couple of times. Um, so thank you so much, everyone, for who were in the chat. Love the activity in the chat. It's always fun. I was glancing here and there about it. It looked like everyone was having a lot of fun talking about the 10,000 subjects that we were bouncing around today on. So thank you so much for joining us. It was really, really, it's always, always a pleasure. We're always fortunate to have you. And for those of you watching this video on demand, thank you. Thank you for watching it. If it's on YouTube, make sure you feel free to like if you like the video. And if you love the video, we appreciate if you hit the subscribe button, and then you'll have access, to it will be one of the first to know. Will be on your feed when your video, when the next VOD shows up. So, but that's all we have for today. Thanks, Tyler.
Thanks, Ray.
And we're looking forward to painting with everyone next week.
See you all
Thank you,
then.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.